All right, joining me now here on the Matthew Filipovic Show is Jill Filipovic. Jill is a lawyer, a freelance writer, and the founder of the awesome website Feministe, which you can find at feministe.us. In addition to all of that, she also has a last name that is but 2 letters away from my own. Jill, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Jill, we're going to get to the serious stuff. Actually, we're going to get to the serious stuff in a second, but I just want to ask, as someone with a last name that is so close to mine, what is the most ridiculous attempt at your last name that you've ever heard?
Oh, gosh. I don't really keep track of them. I kind of like the playground insults better. Filipovic is a longtime favorite.
Yeah. Like on the phone the other day, some operator went they just mutter through it and stuff like that for me. So
yeah, people usually attempt the first Philip and then trail off and
then mutter off a bit. Yeah. But hey, so I actually wanted to talk to you about the Michele Bachmann HPV vaccination story and let you find out what exactly was your take on the whole story that happened the last couple weeks.
Predictably, it was not exactly heartening to hear Michele Bachmann spread complete misinformation about the HPV vaccine. Mm-hmm. It also wasn't surprising to see her use that vaccine as a political battering ram against Perry. I suspect if it had been a vaccine for pretty much anything else that wasn't sex-related, we wouldn't have seen it used that
mm-hmm.
way.
Yeah.
What she's done by linking the HPV vaccine to mental retardation is, she's basically scared more people out of getting it. There is no link between HPV and any sort of mental retardation. And, the side effects that are tied to HPV, that are tied to HPV vaccine, to Gardasil, are pretty normal for any vaccine. They involve swelling around the shot site, that kind of stuff. So she's essentially made up this completely outlandish story, which now is going to scare parents and young women away from getting a vaccine that can prevent them from getting cancer. So, my overall take is that, it was not only sort of typical Bachmann just making things up for her own political purposes, but it's also really dangerous to public health.
Yeah, definitely. You wrote about something that I think is very important to talk about, is just about the overall stigma that HPV has, even though it's something that the majority of people will at some point have in their lifetime. Talk about that. Right.
Something like 80% of women will get HPV at some point. HPV is, it's not only incredibly common, but the term HPV includes a whole variety of different viruses
mm-hmm.
that are all related. And the vaccine covers, a few of them. But, HPV can cause anything from, one strain of the virus causes genital warts. Most other strains don't really do anything. There's a few that will cause warts on the bottom of your feet. There are some that will give you an irregular pap smear. And then there are some that can eventually cause cervical cancer, which are, the ones that the Gardasil vaccine attempts to protect against, or at least some of them. But it's the vast majority of people that get HPV won't actually have any sort of serious complications, won't get cervical cancer. Some will, which is why the vaccine is so important. But, there's this crazy stigma against a disease that, is sort of like getting the flu. Everybody just gets it at some point. And yet so many people are embarrassed to talk about it, don't want their kids to get vaccinated because I guess that means they're admitting their kids will have sex someday.
Right.
And it's treated like it's this horrible, shameful thing. When in fact, even if you don't know you have it, chances are you're going to get it at some point.